hopefully in conjunction with LTD, to research the feasibility of restoring the route and stop at the River Road Park and Recreation Building, which is their only building, their only pool, and their only playground, located at Emerald Park. We would love to meet with the appropriate persons here at Lane Transit District to discuss this idea. We are obviously in the early stages of our research and to identify all the needs and things that need to occur in order to bring an official ask to restore the old number 55 Park Avenue route that used to stop at Emerald Park. We still have the pole, we still have the seating, and we still have the cement pad for the ramp. So it's just going to be a soft ask, we hope. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very familiar with AARP. Thank you very much for bringing the group together. And Jameson, they met yesterday with your executive director?
Jana ran into us after our meeting yesterday, Amanda.
Okay.
And she did mention that she had met with you folks and that she has some names to share with us. So hopefully that will
great
process.
Good. Thank you. Appreciate your being here. Is there anyone else signed up to speak?
We do have one online.
Welcome to Gino.
Is there anybody online that would like to give public testimony? If so, please raise your hand. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me. Next order of business is board reports. Excuse me. The Lane Council, Board of Governments. God, I'm so sorry. I have my glasses on. Pete, do you have a report or anything to add?
Nothing to add.
Okay, and the MPC, Kelly, I don't think we have anything necessarily.
Well, that meeting was canceled in March. The March meeting was canceled due to lack of quorum.
That's why we have nothing to say.
There you go.
Okay. And the Lane Area Commission on Transportation.
No report.
No report. Okay. Strategic plan, Gino or Pete?
Technically, I'm no longer on that.
Oh, okay. Well, you get credit for it anyway. Finance Committee, I don't think we have anything to bring forward. And the Real Estate Subcommittee, I think, is sort of ad hoc. I think it's enacted at this point. Okay, so Jameson, we could have the CEO report, please.
Okay, thank you, Madam President. Can we get the PowerPoint loaded? Thank you. While they do that, let's get into our proper order and recognize our Employee of the Month. So for March, Employee of the Month is Wyatt Pound. Wyatt, you want to come up to you can come up with him, Jake. Wyatt was selected as our Employee of the Month. Wyatt is one of our public safety officers. He's very helpful in the community. He helped a 14-year-old young man who was stranded at Eugene Station after service stopped running, and was able to get him to the doorstep. And as any parent would be, the mother was super happy that Wyatt got her son and his friend home to the Thurston area. She was hugely grateful, saying, when you think of how you want someone to do the right thing for your kid in a tough situation, this is exactly what you hope happens. So for that, Wyatt was elected as Employee of the Month. Jake, anything you want to add?
You know, it's just exciting when we get positive stuff on our public safety officers. And I think I've said this before, especially Wyatt, these guys do this stuff day in, day out. They don't always get the recognition that they should. It's great to see Wyatt get this recognition. And the other thing with Wyatt that I appreciate is even when he's having a busy day and a rough day, guy always has a smile on his face. You know, I pull up, he's got a smile on his face. So I appreciate that. I love working with Wyatt. He's been here for a couple of years. And this is well deserved.
So we have something for you, Wyatt.
Does Wyatt have any comments you'd like to make?
Oh, yeah. Well, I appreciate this. I'm honored to be here and recognized for it. Again, this is something that myself and everyone that works here does over and over again, helping the community, get people where they need to go. And that's the objective of our company. So this is just something I'm very passionate about, always been passionate about, helping out the community. And that's why I love working here. So thank you.
Being employee of the month, you're incredibly articulate. Okay, so this is a pen for you. And this is a letter, recognition, a certificate. And this is my form.
Oh, yeah. Picture.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you on behalf of everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
April not able to join us this evening, but it's Cindy Phillips. Cindy Phillips. Cindy's a bus operator. She's been with the organization for 23 years. The quote that came in from a customer, and I'm just going to read one sentence, it sums it up. She is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. He went on to talk about how riding the bus when she's there, this customer has not been late for work. She does a good job handling her bus through traffic and feels very comfortable. So at some point you'll be able to meet Cindy, but she's someone who's been here for here she is, someone who's been here for over 20 years. Certainly knows our community, knows that how she interacts with the public is really the face of LTD. And again, Jake, anything you want to add?
To your point, Jameson, next month, it'll be actually 30 years, I believe, of service. And if I'm not mistaken, Cindy's one of the original people that actually started with our MX when we started our rapid transit here. And she's been doing an excellent job ever since. And one of the things that people just love riding with her because you don't know you're on a bus. And for all of us that ride transit, we know that not everybody drives equally. It takes some skill and it takes some time to get there. And you can't just sum it up with one line like that. Cindy just does an excellent job driving the bus. So
Well, Cindy.
leave it at that.
We're sorry you're not here with us tonight, but I hope you feel appreciated. And I think it's really interesting, someone that's just kind of new to LTD and then someone who's at the other end. So
Absolutely.
nice balance.
Thank you.
And I gypped her out of 7 full years of service there. I said 23. She said 23 years of safe driving. It says here. Yeah, 30 years of service. So I apologize. All right, going into the Operations Control Center. Is this going to work? I can't click it any harder. Oh, there we go. All right. Operations Command Center. You may have noticed that we've got a bit of construction going on over here, and it's on or ahead of schedule. We feel we'll have people in there working probably late fall, early winter. So we're in the process now of going through dedication. And it's something that LTD does. The process that we're going to use this time is Carrie Stewart. Carrie, raise your hand back there. Carrie Stewart is handles all of our records. She's a trained librarian. She handles the history of LTD. She's working with a group, an internal committee here, and also with external groups, including the Oregon Historical Society. Thank you, Susan Cox, for making that intro with that group to look at folks who are who can be candidates for the center to be dedicated after. we're using some criteria to do this. One, embody LTD's values, respect, collaboration, safety, equity, integrity. You know all the values. Someone who has made a significant impact on transit operations at LTD or has made a historically significant impact on public transportation in Oregon that influenced LTD. So that opens it up quite a bit. They will be taking in nominations through the end of May. Certainly we want to open that up to board members. If you have a name that you'd like us to take a look at, and they'll be bringing forward a slate that we'll bring back to this body as well to have further conversation about. But it's a lot of work to go through and make sure that we're getting accurate history and background on the names that are suggested, because this is a project that we don't intend to repeat for probably 25 years or so. So stay posted on that. We'll be bringing that back to the board.
Is there one person being dedicated to?
So right now we're looking at a person. It could be a group. I mean, we've not really considered if it were more than one. Yeah, but that nothing's final. So this is the time to really talk.
Is there an application or is it going to be?
No, we're not. We haven't thought to use an application. We're just doing a research throughout the history of the state and the organization to look at a list of names of folks. And if there's some folks that we miss, we certainly will want to take suggestions as well. But if there's a public process that you all feel might make sense, we're certainly open to hearing that as well.
It's exciting.
Can we get that criteria, the nomination criteria emailed to us so that we have that for,
Sure.
in the
Absolutely.
soft spot of the brain?
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, I'm going backwards now. All my clicking powers. All right, legislative update. I'm going to invite Sam to the little table there. As you know, there's a lot going on, both at the federal level, at the state level, transportation package being discussed. At the federal level, just about everything is being discussed. So Sam's going to give us an update on what LTD's been up to, what we've learned. We recently had a United Front trip as well, and we'll learn a little bit about that. So Sam.
Good evening, all. Happy to start with maybe the federal stuff first. Before I do, I don't know if Jamison or Susan, you wanted to comment first on United Front or as our principal trip leaders. If not, I'm happy to take over, but figure give you both a chance first.
Well, it was a fast week. It was interesting. And Sam, you did a great job. I know you've been there before. You haven't been with LTD before, so that was really great.
I'll say for the public, United Front is a group of organizations in both Eugene, Springfield, representing the county. When I first got here and heard the name, I thought it was a paramilitary operation. So I wanted to be clear that it's not that, but it is a coordinated visit to talk to our federal delegation.
Yeah, I think overall it was a great trip this year. Just about everyone went. I think had a great time. We got several new electeds. Mary Knudsen from Eugene, Springfield Schools is a new member who got to attend as well. Overall, so LTD, we met with Senator Wyden, Congresswoman Hoyle. Senator Merkley's meeting was right at the very end. We couldn't quite catch that one in time with our flight. But FTA, DOT, the governor's office has a staff member out there, APTA, White House Intergovernmental Relations, Transportation and Infrastructure staff, and then we also attended a committee hearing that one morning as well. I think overall the message was heard pretty well and clear that transit's a priority. Authorization at the federal level, the surface reauthorization bill, and that will include most of our federal funding. That's the formula funds, discretionary funds we all know and love. Priority projects for us, for the congressional staff, we have 2 earmark requests in, bike share upgrade and integration and modernization project, and then an ADA safety and security upgrade project as well. Those we think will be well received at the Capitol. Just a process, again, going through the federal budget might take some time and some working, so we'll keep tracking those. Not a ton of direct follow-up from the meetings, a lot of great connections and new names to meet. It's a new administration. They're still pretty new in their roles. They didn't have a lot of direct feedback from us, but we're excited we were there, and we'll see a lot of those folks again in the years to come.
I thought it was a real tribute to Jamison that at the transportation meetings that we had, he knew people who were there. And we went to, we happened to be there at a transportation hearing that Val Hoyle's committee was at. And so we were able to watch it, and all of the people who were presenting knew Jamison and was saying that the next hearing that he needed to be at. So it was nice to just be able to, hang around as he was being introduced by everybody. So
Everybody.
yeah,
Everybody knew Jameson.
right.
Maybe pivoting to the state stuff, there's a little more maybe meat and potatoes in there. Of course, Councilor.
Before we move on, can you just, for the record, say what FTA, DOT, and
Absolutely. That was deep in the lingo. Thank you.
Thank you.
So FTA, Federal Transportation Administration, DOT, Department of Transportation, APTA is the American Public Transportation Association. Thank you. Absolutely. IGA, Intergovernmental Relations. Okay. I think I got them all. Thank you. Thank you for that catch. Stateside, I don't want to totally surprise the man behind me, Gino, but him and I were up at the Capitol in early April, Transit Day in the Capitol, a long day of lobbying. I'm happy to speak to it, Gino. I feel bad looking behind me here. Unless you have anything you wanted to add, I'll hop right in.
No, go ahead, Sam. I just want to note you do a great job up there in Salem, and you made the day easy for us. It was great to have other people with us too. Rob Zako and one of our riders from Eugene who added a lot to the conversations.
Thank you. And my first review, and it was coming up right here. So Jameson, I'm sure you heard the high praise I got. They are paid actors, so thank them all for that. Yeah, it was a great trip. So almost every legislator had about a 15-minute meeting with the transit specialist. We met with all of our delegation as well as a couple others. We kind of got thrown into last minute. Along with Sorg herself, you heard Rob Zako. Ruth Linoz runs South Lane County, or South Lane Wheels, pardon me. If ever a meeting was a dull moment or an uncomfortable question, she was happy to hop in, praise LTD, the riders, the operators, the safety staff. When she had her hip replaced, it lowered the bus for her, so she was great to kind of share those stories. Overall, the goal of the trip, we're talking about our funding, our STIF, the State Transportation Improvement Fund, which covers the statewide payroll tax. It's currently set at 0.1%. That was established in 2017. So ourselves and the Oregon Transit Association, well received, depending who we were talking to. It was hard to get a firm response. And then just about before we left for DC, the transportation package did finally drop out of Salem. Lengthy package, quite a few things in there. Some of the highlights for transit, but only an increase to 0.18%. So not quite the 0.5 over 8 years we were hoping for. Definitely the conversation is not over. It's more of a counterpoint, a conversation piece. There's still more work to be had up in Salem to sort of renegotiate what that looks like. Remind legislators what that 0.5 would get them locally here in Lane County, across Oregon, how they want to meet their goals of a dense housing, climate change, greenhouse gas emissions, student passes, veteran passes. All these things are going to require more state funding and to get there. I think those are kind of the highlights of that meeting and where we're going next. We'll have lots of meetings coming up. I know Jameson and I are going up to Salem next week for some meetings with the governor's team to kind of get that conversation going. Late April, early May, the transportation package will be up for a public hearing. So we'll start working now with local partners to get people to give testimony, provide feedback, and then follow up with legislators afterwards. We'll start engaging heavily in that process. Federal stuff will kind of chill for a minute, so we'll push hard statewide through June 29th. That'll be the end of session. We're in a joint committee where our package is, so they kind of follow their own rules about when the package has to be voted on, so that'll be a little wishy-washy. Most everything else will wrap up May 9th will be a big voting deadline, so we'll track that for some of the more specialized committees. It's probably some of the highlights at state stuff. I could dig in deeper if you all have questions about things, but we could leave it there for now.
I would say, back to the United Front, one of the themes that LTD has been very strong with is commitment to rural communities. And that was clearly what all of the government agencies are focused on. Yeah. So it felt nice that we were in there already. So.
Absolutely.
Just one thing. We had an interesting meeting at DOT, and the federal appointee was in that meeting. And I felt it was a positive meeting. I walked away feeling really positive, and she was very clear. Her message was, we understand that there's some hysteria. We don't want to take your money. The fact is, you wrote your grants for different administrations' priorities, and this administration has these priorities. So just rewrite your grants, and we want to make sure you're serving your community. So that felt good to hear that just plainly spoken. And the other, when we were at APTA, no, not APTA, FTA, their appointee was there as well, who was a former APTA employee. So folks at APTA were a little surprised about that, but she was there, and we delivered the message on our experience with our electric buses that you all heard at our last meeting, and she was well attuned to that message as well. So I thought we had some pretty positive, realistic meetings, and walked away feeling pretty good. So.
Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Sam. All right, shifting gears. Okay, me and this clicker. Push that right. Maybe you have the magic touch.
I think it's the clicker.
Oh, there we are. Now we're something else.
New batteries.
Finally caught up with us.
You all noticed that I usually don't use PowerPoint, right? Okay. So next on the agenda, we want to give a overview on the long-range financial plan. And you're going to hear this again in much more detail and depth by our real finance people. But we did want to share this with you prior to going into budget season. We typically would have done this last year, but we did not. So I don't want it to be the first time you see it when we go into the budget meeting. So we're just going to talk about some of the assumptions that are contained, and then kind of walk through it. You have it printed out in front of you. When I click the slide and it works next time, you'll see a bunch of small numbers. So we printed it out. Those online, we will email that to you either first thing in the morning or right after this meeting. So it starts off first with the FY26 budget assumptions. That will go before the budget committee next month. Revenues are, we plugged in 4% increase in revenues. That includes all of revenues, including payroll tax. Personnel increases of just over 10%. The recommendation coming before you will be a combination COLA merit of 6% total. I believe it's split out 3 and 3. Also in that are the union wages based on the current contracts, insurance increases. Interestingly, in our labor agreement, insurance, if it goes above 7% cost to LTD, there's a joint insurance committee that looks at how do we keep those costs at 7%. So that's why we plug 7% in there. We're looking at market alignment for our admin defined contribution plan. That's a scaled plan based on years of service. We're looking at taking that to 10%. That does not mean 10% across the board. Some people right now are at 4.5%. Some people are at, I want to say 6% is the 9. Yeah, 9 is the highest. So we're looking to get that more aligned with the market. And then we're looking at a 4.5% increase for materials and supplies, factoring in increasing costs. Again, the capital transfer, the transfer to our community investment plan, that's included in there. So that represents the transfer from the general funds. And then our reserve policy calls for at least 2 months of operating expenses. By the end of 26, we'll have up to 4 months of unrestricted and 6 months of restricted operating expenses. This is interesting because that's a lot of months of reserve. We recently pulled down the remainder of our COVID federal funds, and we're going to be shoring up our reserves to hedge against any changes that come at the federal level. So we think it's wise to do that at this time. But again, that'll be coming to you in more detail. All right. Now for the years outside of next year, again, similarly, 27 through 35, we're showing a 4% increase in revenues. We will continue to use our federal and state funds to cover our operating costs. We're have a 5.2% increase in personnel, but we'll have some union contracts coming up as well. So we'll put an asterisk by that. We do have a just under 4% increase for materials and supplies. Again, that may be impacted based on increasing costs related to tariffs, inflation, increases in bus parts, those types of things. We are maintaining our stable reserves to cover operating costs, and we reflect a stable reserve throughout the life of the plan itself. And then finally, the last bullet point, that consideration for changes in service affecting the general fund are not included in this projection. So this is a business as usual approach. This does not take into consideration if we were to do some sort of service redesign that called for us to provide more service to rural areas that increase costs that way. So we wanted to make sure that the board was aware of that. If you can see that, you win. All right. So there you have the printed chart is in front of you, and you'll see from that chart that if you go to page 2, there's a row that says total revenue minus total requirements. It's the second blue shaded area. And you'll see where there's some negative numbers in there across that. If you go all the way down into the working capital, you'll see where we're using that to plug holes. So our cliff, if you want to call it a cliff, here is in year 2033-34, the very last column, where if you go down to working capital, it goes down to 319-341. So we will be working in the next few years to make sure that we get our budget stronger. But as far as transit systems go, we're in much better shape than most, and we look forward to improving our financial outlook as well. But if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I do have backup in the room in case we need that. But I did want to share this with you so you can take a look at it tonight and as we go into the budget cycle and formulate your questions so you didn't get it that night. Are there any questions or feedback in the moment?
Gina?
Okay. No questions. Moving on. Yeah. Or you come up with one. All right. So you've heard about this quite a bit. STIF discretionary funded pilot project briefing. That's a lot of words. This is the good work of Dave Roth and Cosette and John Allen and the rest of the team, Kathy and the rest of the team. Just wanted to give you an update on 2 of the projects that are going to be coming up. One is a rural Lane County on-demand shuttle service. So this will provide transportation to 2 communities that currently do not have it. And we're working with health organizations to really hone in on jobs, health, healthy food, food deserts. So we're working on that. The areas where this will run will be on Highway 36 between Mapleton and Deadwood in Mohawk Valley. Now, I have to also point out there's a third area where service currently exists. This is south of Cottage Grove. That service, as it exists today, will modify to a couple days a week, and the rest of the days will go to these areas. The reason why that is happening is because this service and that service are funded by STIF discretionary funds, and they're alive for 2 years. So we recognize that we're spreading the peanut butter thin, but I think the county really needs us to do just that, and we'll be working with the health industry to measure how we're doing there. So it'll be a 2-year pilot, and hopefully at the end of that 2 years we can find another funding source to keep that going if the value is the perceived value and the real value is what the community needs. So stay tuned on that. I'll get to the other one. If you have any questions, we can ask about either. The second project will be, and I'm sorry, that's set to launch in July 25. The second project that is expected to launch in fall of 25 is the downtown Eugene circulator service. This is a partnership between LTD and the city, and this modifies one of our current routes, Route 1, the Campbell route, to serve the Eugene riverfront area all the way to 18th Avenue. So we'll be measuring that along with the city. This was a part of a study that was actually commissioned by the city, and they were looking at different ways to execute this service. But we feel that we're the best positioned organization to do just that. So this service will kick off again in the fall, and we look forward to reporting back on its work in progress. So with that, I'll pause if there are any questions. Make them hard. Dave Roth can answer all of them. Okay, so we look forward to that. Next, Lane Youth Transportation Advisory Council. So this is interesting. When we developed the Community Outreach Framework, the COCA that you all adopted in '24, one of the things that the steering committee brought up is having a more youthful voice at the table in the planning process. So we thought about how we would do that and decided that we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. The Lane Youth Transportation Advisory Council already exists. They work with LCOG. So we're going to be working with them as well. They're comprised of community members aged 13 and 19, and they support better mobility for people of all ages and abilities. In addition to LTD, they work with Safe Routes to School program, of course, and with LCOG. So we look forward to engaging them as we move forward with LTD Connect 2045, which is our long-range mobility plan. I think it'll be important to have those voices at the table. So stay tuned on that. There's potential here also for us to have this voice come into our strategic planning committee as well. So we look forward to working with that group. All right. Any questions there? And I'm sorry, I'm into the monthly department reports now. I just kind of transitioned without saying anything. One of the areas that marketing is working on is internal communication. We have a differently focused newsletters focused with an internal voice. We have a newsletter focused with an external voice. The goal is to make sure that folks know how what they do connects to the overall goals of the organization. We know that we don't manufacture widgets, so we can't see what we built at the end of the day, but we want to make sure that people know what's going on, that we're able to communicate how we're recognizing employees for good work they're doing in the community. Ani is my timekeeper for making sure I have a message to the organization twice a month. But also what our community impact is and what their impact is and lots of internal news. So that's happening now. I think I may have forwarded you those as they come out, but if not, I will continue. I'll do so. Also want to highlight Mom Outreach in Cottage Grove, and I believe I'm saying that right. There's a community from Guatemala that lives in Cottage Grove. And they primarily use communicate orally. So there isn't a widely established written form. So we're working with an influencer to produce how-to videos spoken in that language, so we can encourage, let people know what services are available and how to use them. We think it's important to serve our entire community. And this is a community in our rural area, again, that the service is really important to, but we want to make sure that we're reaching them in ways that they understand what's there for them. Mobility services, we touched on this a little bit, focus on health. John Allen is here with us tonight. One of the things that we're looking at, you recall that we were looking at how we deliver services through 4 lenses: health, housing, access to work, and access to education. This is part of our health focus. So we're working with the Lane County Food Coalition to discuss the Rural Shuttle Project and connecting rural residents to food options. We'll serve on Food for Lane County's grant review team. And our goal is, again, to increase transportation to allow people to get to food pantries and social services. There's a lot of good work being done around that. Good thought here and energy around that. In Portland, they're doing good work around this as well. So we're using some of what we've learned there, and we're in close contact with the team up the road from us as well. But we recognize that it's important for not just our community, but for the economic vitality of our community and for families to be able to access healthy food choices. So we're working now to understand what are the real metrics that we can report on that will really communicate how we're doing in that regard. And that's going to require people outside of this organization. So we continue down that path.
Jameson,
Yes.
excuse me, how is that funded?
So that's part of our STIF program. And John, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, we were competitive using STIF discretionary funds. So our STIF formula funds stay local to our area. STIF discretionary funds we compete with throughout all of Oregon. So we were successful in being able to bring in some additional STIF discretionary dollars.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so moving on, fleet maintenance, open house. So, you know, I learned a long time ago from one of my mentors that you need three things to do what we do. You need a bus, someone to drive it, and someone to fix it. And those are the three things, and the rest are add-ons. So we are hurting in the area of fleet maintenance. We need people to fix the buses. We need skilled technicians. We are working towards an apprenticeship program in this area. We do have an apprenticeship program for our bus operators. But while that is going through the process, we're looking at different ways to recruit. And one of the things that we did recently was we held a fleet maintenance open house. We invited applicants in to come in and tour the facility, learn about our history, what we do. And then we took them over to Fleet and had them talk to technicians, get an understanding of the work and the experience. So we'll continue to do these types of things. It was great. The star of the night was a little girl there. She, you know, it's always good to have little voices around. And to me, it always reminds me that while we have 340 plus employees, it's really 340 plus families. And hopefully her father can come in and have a job that's sustainable and allows to, you know, help that child flourish in whatever her goals are. So we'll stay tuned on that. But we do continue to recruit for both fleet, bus operators, and public safety. And speaking of operators, here's our March graduation. 32 new bus operators graduated March 28. They had a 9-week training and their class began on the 31st. So we're on track right now for hiring our operators in 25. Some metrics came out recently that shows that we're in a better position with the number of operators that we have now. See, Amy, I do read your reports. We're better positioned now, and our retention numbers are starting to shift the way we need them to shift. So we welcome those 13 operators, very good group. We look forward to seeing them advance. In terms of the monthly operating performance reports, a couple things I wanted to highlight, and I want to pull this out. So in terms of our fixed route ridership, we're flat. We're flat right now. I think we're at like 0.5% increase. Our ridership per revenue hour is actually down a little bit as we grow. 0.5%, the ridership per revenue hour is down, which means that we have more service out, but our ridership is not matching that in terms of growth. So it's something for us to pay attention to. I know that we're going back into that mobility plan. That'll give us some insights as to where we are. We may also need to reconsider at some point a redesign if it points to that. We know that people are moving out further away from the core, so we'll have to take a look at what that means. Mobility services were down 7% compared to this time last year, but remain increased over 10% for the rolling 12-month period. So these are all the services that include our paratransit service and our on-demand services. Roadie Express is in there, which, by the way, is up over 70% since we've increased the frequency on that route. So we're excited about that. One area for us to take a look at is our operations complaints per 100,000 boardings. Those are up almost 17% over the 12-month rolling period. We have a sense on why. Remember, we hired 50 new operators in 1 year, so we're experiencing new operator things, pass-bys or running slow. We're addressing those as they come along. But that's something that we anticipated when people get behind the wheel. It generally takes it doesn't take 30 years to be a Cindy Phillips, but it does take a few years to really become proficient in that. So we expected that, and we did see a small drop in absenteeism, a very small drop in absenteeism over the last month. I highlighted that for the board, I think at the last board meeting. So we're still above 17%. It went down 0.02%. So we're going to take that, but we're going to continue to look at absenteeism and report that to you. So with that, I will conclude the CEO report. Unless there's any questions.
Jameson or Gino? Okay. And I apologize, I should have done this at the end of the public comment period, but I wanted to make sure that we acknowledge that we received written testimony from Rory O'Neill. So for the record, make sure that that's included. Okay. So moving on to the.
Wait, there's a handout.
Heather Murphy has a hand.
Pardon?
Heather has her hand up.
There's Heather.
Oh, Heather, sorry.
Hi, no worries. Skipping back to part of your report, the mom speaking population in Cottage Grove, near and dear to my heart. Wondering, when you mention an influencer, I'm not quite sure what you mean, and I just want to make sure that the person doing the video speaks the dialect. There are many mom dialects, but the dialect that actually serves that area. So just something to ask, and this is learned from many years of experience now. So
an individual from
we're going to invite Eric up to answer that in the microphone, Heather.
Thank you.
Good evening, Eric Bernstein, Director of Marketing. We are working with the leader of a nonprofit organization that supports the mom speaking community in Cottage Grove specifically.
Great.
So that's the individual who's participating in those videos.
Wonderful. Thank you, Eric.
Welcome.
Thank you. Okay, I think we are ready for the consent agenda. Are there any questions or comments from board members? Is there a motion to accept this? And
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we will approve the consent agenda. Shall we individual voting or just all in favor? Do we have to do it individually? Okay. Gino?
Yes.
Heather?
Aye.
Pete?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Kelly? Yes. I vote yes, so it is unanimous. Thank you. And board action items. Fiscal year 2023 independent audit report. Is there anything we need to do with that? Okay.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I believe we have a PowerPoint slides here. Right. My name is Ahmad Ghoraibi. I am the partner in charge of the audit from Eid Bailly. We are the independent auditors for that district. And this is the annual comprehensive financial report, and along with that is your report on compliance with the federal requirement. Next slide, please. This is the crew that performed the audit. We begin the audit at the beginning of the year. With that, I'm in charge of the audit. I have a senior manager working with me on the audit, and I have a couple of seniors also that works with me on this audit as well. And as I mentioned, we begin the audit around April or May timeframe, and it continues on all the way through the end of the calendar year. Next slide, please. And the scope is to ensure that the financial statements are fairly stated. What we do is we issue opinion on these financial statements on the fair presentation, fair statement of these financial statements. And with that also, we issue a report on internal control with over financial reporting and compliance with the laws and regulations, a report on your compliance with the single audit, and a report on your compliance with the STIF grants as well. Next slide, please. And again, it's to form and express an opinion on whether the financial statements are fairly stated in all material respect. It is a process of confirmation. Management presents to you the financial information previously. We come in after the fact, after management closes the books. We just confirm. I mean, that's really what we do to ensure that these financial statements are fairly stated. Confirm your payroll taxes. We confirm your debt. We perform various analytical procedures on your various aspects of revenues and expenses there. As I mentioned, we split the audit into 3 phases, 4 phases. The interim phase is when we typically test the compliance and the internal control. We'd like to see segregation of functions and duties, a review process, adherence to district policies when it comes to receipts, disbursements, payroll, that kind of stuff as it relates to the financial statements. And at the end, we come to you and we report on whether we found any exceptions with respect to the financial statements or related to the internal control. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, we begin around April or May timeframe. I believe we're coming back maybe at the end of the month of May to do the 25 audit. Again, we wait for management to close the books, and the reporting phase starts in November. And we actually issued this report on time this time around, which is December 2024. Next slide, please. And please let you know that we issued a clean opinion on these financial statements, meaning that they met the requirements. We didn't have any adjustments to the financial statements. The federal compliance, they call it a single audit. It's that small little report. You do receive a significant amount of 5307 that gets filed with the federal clearinghouse as well. And you did receive a clean opinion, meaning that we had no exceptions reported with respect to those items. With respect to the internal control, as I mentioned, we take a look at the payroll, the receipts, disbursements, accounts payable, procurement, various items, again, as they relate to the financial statements. And if we noted any weaknesses in the internal control, we'll come back and we'll let you know. Pleased to let you know that we reported no weaknesses in the internal control. Next slide, please. There's no significant changes. I mean, the district adheres to a reporting standard called Government Accounting Standards Board. 2024 is a break year, so we didn't have much changes to the financial statements. Next year, there will be some that will slightly change the layout of your financial statements or some of the amounts that are reported on the financial statements related to compensated absences. I don't think it's going to be that big. And I am required to let you know that there are estimates in these financial statements. Basically, it's the pension and the other post-employment benefits, the OPEB. Those are significant estimates that are reported on the financial statement. Next slide, please. We always change. We put a focus on some areas. It's the testing of internal controls over revenue recognition. This was our focus this year. Next year, we'll do something else. Likely it's going to be STIF, where we're going to put a significant focus in the 2025 fiscal year. But in the 24, that was our main focus. This is when we incorporate elements of unpredictability, just making sure that the amounts that are reported on the financial statements are fairly stated. Next slide, please. With that, I'll be more than happy to take any questions.
Questions? Well done.
Right. I do want to thank Pam and her team for helping us. And again, as I mentioned, it's a confirmation process, so they need to connect us with your bankers, with your creditors, and they were very helpful in making that connection. So we appreciate their help.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
So do we have a motion to adopt resolution
Yes. Just have to
I knew. we
figure out
had
where I'm at here. I move adoption of resolution number 2025-04-16-10, accepting the independent auditors reports contained in the annual comprehensive financial report and single audit for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2024.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. So if we can take the vote, Gino,
Yes.
Heather,
Aye.
Pete,
Aye.
Michelle. And unanimously it passes. Thank you.
No, just introduce the item. I'll give you-
Okay. Resolution 2025-4-16-15 to authorize the CEO to enter into a contract with Gatekeeper Systems USA.
Thank you, Chair, President. This in front of you is a resolution to be able to replace our onboard video camera system on our vehicles. Our current system is beyond its useful life. It's been beyond its useful life. It's I can't say that it needs to be replaced. It puts us at, it causes costly routine maintenance, workarounds to keep it running, and eventually will put us at security liability risk. This would include our fixed route vehicles, our paratransit vehicles, the vehicles that provide our rural service, and our support vehicles. We had 3 bidders respond to this. The bidder that the committee selected, Gatekeeper System USA, was the most responsive and responsible bidder. We had originally planned in our community investment plan for a $3.1 million expenditure. The contract came in, or the proposal came in at 3.5. So the funding that we've put together for this includes a Department of Homeland Security grant in the amount of $2.1 million, and then federal Formula 5307 funds. These are grant funds that would support this work. And with that, we'll stand to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Is there a motion?
I move adoption of resolution 2025-04-16-15, authorizing the chief executive officer, CEO, to enter into a contract with Gatekeeper System USA, Inc. for the purpose of transit vehicle camera replacement and support.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. You can vote. Kelly,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Aye.
Michelle,
Yes.
Pete,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye.
Gino,
Yes.
and Susan votes yes, so passes unanimously. Thank you. So now we can get current.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other business or
Yep,
comments?
one more item.
Yeah, one more.
Right, I'm just, oh, sorry,
We have one more to vote on before we go to that.
the adoption of resolution.
Authorize.
Okay, sorry. One more to heard, authorizing CEO to enter into a contract for HR purposes, human resources.
So inviting Wendy Frisbee to the table. We have had quite a bit of change in the organization over the past few years. And one of the challenges and opportunities that we find is making sure that we have solid process and procedures around our human resources area. With that said, I'm going to have Wendy present our path forward.
Thank you. Thank you guys for letting me be here tonight, and good evening. So we're requesting to have a 3-year contract with a company called Xenium HR. They're in Tolton, Oregon. And basically the services that they provide are process management, HR staffing, benefits administration, HR compliance, training, and as well as reorganization and then development of HR departments. Our goal for this process is to enhance our operational efficiency, improve compliance among the district, and ensure scalability for support for the district to allow us to add support or decrease support depending on the needs of the district. and especially our employees, of course. And the focus is going to be on this for our frontline employees. It's going to affect all employees, but our focus really is to improve that experience for our frontline. As part of this contract, we'll be receiving access to 80 HR professionals that are in Tualatin. We'll have 2 that are going to be on site. They're giving us a service guarantee of 4 hours. If they can't answer that question, they'll respond to us and say, hey, we're going to research this and get back to us as soon as possible. So there's going to be more communication. And also, again, like I said, scalability. We're able to increase or decrease depending on the needs of the district. What they're going to provide for us is employee relations management, preventive legal support, proactive compliance alerts and updates, HR forms and template updates, employee handbook development, new hire processes, also with terminations, disciplinary actions to help us make sure we're in line with those, help us get a solid exit interview process in line, as well as the facilitation of that. And then part of this also is they'll provide live virtual trainings and then also on-demand trainings, which we really are excited about this because this will not only help, all of our supervisors, it's going to meet the schedule that they have because they don't just work an 8 to 5 shift. They're going to be, different hours. Part of this also is it's going to allow us to increase that footprint for HR, where we have hours from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. So with our ever-changing workforce, it's just important for us, I think, to keep on top of these trends, looking at the multi-generational needs and making sure that we're addressing those. And so that's why we're bringing this to you tonight. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How did we find Xenium?
So actually, it was a recommendation I heard through Thorpe and then also through SDAO. So yeah, and then we did a lot of research with it. I've been working with a consultant that has had experience with us before and doing a lot of research and talking to clients that they work with now. So it's been,
reference checks and that kind of
yes,
thing?
yes. Overall, very, very positive.
When would this start?
So basically we get the contract if this is approved tonight. We were hoping to have a contract executed this week. And so we're going to have a kickoff meeting Monday afternoon. If again, of course, if everything passes.
Wendy, Heather has a question.
Okay.
Hi, I'm just curious, the maybe range, or do they work with other clients similar size to LTD staff?
They do. So they focus on mid-size and smaller. So they're mid-size. They have an organization that's Hello Construction that's up in, I think it's Beaverton. And so they have, it's a lot like what we have as construction, but they have a lot of frontline workers that are out. And I believe that their organization is around 300 people. And so they really do focus on this small to medium size. They don't want to deal with the large one because they don't want to lose the interest of the smaller and the medium sized ones. They do not have, I will say they have not had transit experience, but I mean, they're willing to work with us and they do have labor experience that can help us a lot.
What are the budget implications?
So actually, we're hoping that's going to be budget neutral from what we've done, all the assessments on this, that it should be very budget neutral. And in fact, with that, adding 80 additional staff members really very, very minimal cost to us. I think over time, we're expecting that it probably will help decrease that a little bit, in fact.
And what is the process if LTD finds that that isn't something you want to continue? Is it?
So it's a great thing. We're on a contract with them. So we'll have, there's different clauses we'll have. There's like, I think a 90-day, or excuse me, a 60-day and a 90-day out on both of them. Or we have our paralegal working on that now. So he might negotiate that just a little bit differently. But it gives us time to actually say, this isn't working. And we have time to get spun up into the next, whatever we want to move to next. With this, what I would like to do is come back to you guys on a quarterly basis and report just the metrics of what we're seeing, the data that's happening, that, we can do benchmarking what we have now, and then where we are each quarter. We're happy to do that in person or also with a written report if it's more desired.
Sounds good.
That was going to be my ask.
I read your mind. Yeah.
I know. Very, very, yeah. So that was going to be my ask. I personally think that this is a really good opportunity to bring in current practices and just make sure we're really on track with all of the changes in HR, the evolutions that just are continually taking place. So I'm excited to see what they can do.
Yeah, I think, if you think about it, we have 4 generations that are out there in the workforce right now. And so making sure that all of those needs are met and having a diverse company that can really look at that and look at it from a larger, higher perspective to help us meet those.
It's a good idea, James.
I do,
Is there a plan how to introduce this change to the employees?
Yes, yes. So we have been communicating. We communicated last week. We are communicating as an executive team. And then Ani and I will roll out larger communications to the organization. We do town halls twice a year. This probably necessitates another one more frequent than we anticipated. But your point is astute. We can't over communicate the value enough. Our employees have talked about this to us through our last several employee engagement surveys. Some of our partners, external partners, have seen some, seen the areas where we can improve as well. So I don't think that this is maybe a surprise to some, but I don't think it's an unanticipated or unknown need or opportunity for the organization. We'll communicate that out. Yeah.
Thank you. I always think it's a good idea to be able to recognize where you can grow and to acknowledge it and take the action. So thank you, Wendy. Is there a motion?
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
I move adoption of resolution 2025-04-16-16 executive officer to enter into a contract with Xenium HR for the purpose of human resources services.
Second. Okay, moved and seconded. Kelly?
Yes.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Pete? Okay, at this point, we're going to adjourn the business meeting and go into executive session. And so to the audience, I move that the board move into executive session pursuant to ORS 192-660-2H to consult with counsel concerning the legal rights and duties of a public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed. The executive session is expected to last approximately 30 minutes, and the meeting will adjourn at the conclusion of the executive session and will not return to public session.